Welcome back, everybody. We are still here with Calvin and Stella from Wild West Wildlife Rehabilitation Center. And real quick, we're talking about their upcoming Face Your Fears event.
Yes, sir. So Miss Stella here, as long as with some of our other animals that many people would probably feel a little bit nervous around, they're going to be at one of our upcoming events here October 25th from 12 to 2 at Trips Harley-Davidson. It's totally free. We love families and stuff to come out. Even if you're not a huge fan of all of the animals we have out there, like spiders or snakes, it's a fantastic way to be able to kind of see them up close without having to worry about the kind of normal levels of fear or anxiety you might have seeing these animals up close.
Absolutely. And I just think it's so important, you know, like we were kind of talking about earlier, with animals like Stella, you think a certain thing, and there's kind of misconceptions rather behind different animals.
Yeah, that's a big part of why we have these events and also do different kinds of educational events all over. Is because so many of these animals have a lot of misconceptions around them, right? And I think it's a big part of it is because it's smart for us to kind of be wary around wild animals, right? Because they're wild, they're not trained. But at the same time, they're not out to get us or anything, right? And they're really important parts of our native ecosystem, and especially animals like Stella, like this, you know, seeing them in a different light where, you know, they're kind of cuddling up with somebody instead of like hissing and drooling all over the place is a good way of seeing them.
Yeah, she's such a cuddle bug.
She is.
So
yeah,
cute.
she absolutely is. Now, I don't know if people at home can ever see from her little eyes if she wants to show off, as you can see.
She's like,
she's like, hey man, I want to cuddle, man.
That she's a bit cross-eyed, and that's actually because these guys store fat in two different places, one in their tail and then eventually in their eyes. So if you ever see an older possum and they look like a little cross-eyed and stuff like that, or maybe look like they're not sure where they're going, they're just a little blind. And that's perfectly normal.
Okay.
These guys are kind of weird like that. They've got some funky health kinks, but they're generally super sweet little animals to have.
Gotcha. And you were telling us something interesting about their tails and hanging upside down. They can do that from a very young age.
Yeah, so when they're young, and you'll see them when they're kind of small like that, their tails, which are prehensile, so they can be used for grabbing and holding things, they're actually strong enough when they're small to be able to hold themselves completely upside down, right? And kind of almost like a bat would upside down, right? They can hang themselves from branches. One of our baby possums at the center often will sit at the top of their enclosure and kind of hang themselves like that. But once they get to kind of Stella-sized, you know, so a little bit more dense, let's just say it gets a little harder for them to hold themselves up like that. But they can still use it as kind of a little extra hand to hold on to things, like when they're climbing, for example. They also will use it to carry like sticks and twigs and stuff back to their burrow or their den.
Gotcha. That is so cool.
That's some cool
I love
animals, man.
possums.
Yeah. So now it's like when we see one, you kind of just leave it alone. Don't try to scare it off.
Yeah, generally speaking, these guys, they've got 3 main defense mechanisms. Now, they've got 52 teeth. They're the most teeth of any mammal, and they're all razor sharp.
Yeah.
They're like little needles. But their main 3 defense mechanisms are, of course, playing dead, that everyone knows. They can do that for up to 6 hours when startled if they feel it's necessary. But the other things they'll usually do is that they'll hiss. You've probably maybe seen that if your dog or anybody's come across them. They'll open their mouth and make a bunch of terrible noises and drool all over the place. And if that fails, they'll poop and then run off. That is really like their main thing they'll do. So now, of course, if they're cornered or you try to grab one or anything like that, they can bite, right? Just like any other animal, right? They still can panic and try to grab you. But any other time, they will try to do all of those other things before they ever do something like that to you or like your dog or anything else.
Gotcha.
That last one is quite the defense mechanism. Yeah. I tell you.